Good morning, everybody, and a happy Saturday morning to you. I hope your week went well. I know mine did. As usual, we have a lot to cover in here. Unfortunately, there is some royal family stuff, but I'm going to say 70% of the video is Harry Meghan because, as usual, there's a lot coming out. I'm trying not to run behind, so let's just get busy covering it all, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off today with King Charles. He visited Grimsby on Thursday, June 11th. to meet with local leaders, businesses, and organizations focused on driving regeneration and creating opportunities for the Lincolnshire community. Despite heavy rain, the king toured some key civic spaces and engaged with the residents. Now, one of the places he stopped at was the Horizon Youth Zone. That is located on Garth Lane. It's a newly opened facility that provides out-of-school activities ranging from sports and cooking to performing arts and employability support. The king toured the climbing wall, the sports hall, the training kitchen. He was joking around with school children and with some of the scouts. I mean, seriously, he looks like he's having a lot of fun. And I have to tell you, there were some memorable moments. One of the other stops he made was to Blundell Park Ground. And the king met with civic leaders and representatives from the Our Future charity at the home of Grimsby Town Football Club. So inside the park, the club's ticket officer manager accidentally greeted the king with a casual, "All right, darling?" And the king laughed it off, replying that he liked the informal greeting. Now, while he was at that particular area, the park ground, the club mascot, the Mighty Mariner, presented the king with a personalized team jersey featuring the number 3 and HM King Charles on the back. I think that's hilarious. Now, there was also an impromptu walkabout. He was braving heavy rain. He stopped to chat with the crowds that were, telling them that they should visit the pub to dry off. Now, another stop he made, just FYI, was at the Care Hub. And this is a crisis organization that provides community housing advice and a food pantry and furniture recycling for over 30 years. And while he was there, the king met with staff and local residents who have benefited from the program. Now, one girl said that she skipped math class in order to see the king. And the king looked up and goes, "Well, I have my uses." You should know that in some of the videos where he was walking in, you could hear people yelling, we love you, King Charles." Oh, yeah. Now, moving on, we've all seen the head of security with the mustache and the beard, and I've asked you guys before, who is that good-looking man? He's the long-serving personal head of security, and we've never known his identity, but apparently he retired a month ago, and he had a big celebration, and somebody wrote, "Last night I was honored to be invited to Chelsea Barracks for a soiree celebrating the retiring of my good friend Jag, King Charles's personal head of security." So there you go, he's retired. Let's move on to the Duchess of Gloucester. On June 3rd, she officially opened the Chaley Heritage Foundation at Bradbury in East Sussex. She looked absolutely gorgeous, and she's been their patron since 2003. I think she looks lovely. She always looks lovely. Now, Prince Michael of Kent made a rare appearance. Apparently, a lot of people were very concerned about his health, but he attended a ceremony at King's College London on Tuesday where he presented an award, and so people were able to see him. I mean, he is in the 80s. Now, let's move on to Prince William. He's been out and about. Now, at one of his stops, he offered comfort to a businessman who became visibly emotional while describing the support he has received from a mental health charity serving the rural area. Now, this Amer Social Club is located right near William and Catherine's home. And the man's name is Paul Gannon. And William actually leaned over and placed his hand on Gannon's arm and said, "Take your time." And then said, "You know what? While you're pulling yourself together, I'll speak." I thought that was so nice. He took the attention off the man so the man could pull himself together. Listen to what William had to say.
They really good, I have to say. They've been with me.
You're all right.
You're fine. You take a moment.
Take your time on it. I'll talk until you're ready to say anything.
Sure.
But it's been that, what I noticed was post-COVID was there was a lot of isolation going on.
Yes.
And people were stopping me and talking to me about it, and I felt that was a bit of a nod to say, well, can you do something about it? And this is a bit of a pilot project to understand what's the need, what's the challenges in the rural community, how do we replicate something like this across the whole UK?
Very isolated up here, my family and elsewhere, and it's been very useful. And I've had PTSD issues which have really come back to haunt me.
And how would you be dealing with all this if this wasn't here then?
I think things would have been very different. Yeah, I was in a very dark.
Now, this is a 2-year mental health initiative launched last year, which he and Catherine jointly fund, and about 800 individuals have accessed support since it started. The name of this mental health charity, in case I didn't tell you, is Norfolk and Wavening Mind. It's a pilot project to understand what's the need, what's the challenges in the rural community, and how do we replicate something like this across the whole of the UK so we're not leaving holes in how we look after people. Since the pilot began, like I said, about 800 people have been seen, and early feedback suggests the choice of venues for the group sessions has been particularly effective. Like this one is, again, the Amherst Social Club, which is a very welcoming community hub, and new friendship networks have been built between those attending. One of William's questions was, quote, what is the ingredient that attracts men into a group of their peers? And the man who runs the Mind group for men said, I wish I knew the answer, because once we get a man through the door and he gets to see us and the way we interact, they tend to come back. There tends to be good progress and relationships form. And the younger generation's willingness to talk about their psychological well-being appears to be influencing older relatives to talk. Now, the Prince also chatted to a group that's supported by, this Wavening Mind, who take part in exercise sessions for menopausal women, and they joked about their use of hula hoops. Well, that is one way to lose that weight. Prince William got the stuffing hugged out of him. Who wouldn't? I would. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I have a feeling that Prince William gives really good hugs. All right, let's move on to his second event of the day. At his next stop, Prince William personally joined emergency volunteers to deliver vital blood and medical supplies to first responders during an official royal tour of Norfolk. The Prince of Wales traveled in a newly unveiled rapid response vehicle funded privately by himself and the Princess of Wales. The emergency car was affectionately named Prince William by the charity. He rode in the back of the emergency vehicle to assist the blood bikes team in collecting an urgent delivery. The supplies were transported directly to the East Anglian Air Ambulance base. And we know that that was a very sentimental return for Prince William, who previously worked as a full-time helicopter pilot for the East Anglian Air Ambulance between 2015 and 2017. So he was able to reconnect with former emergency services colleagues while still spotlighting the volunteer-led courier network that operates 365 days a year to keep hospitals and air ambulances stocked with plasma and vaccines. The Norfolk blood bikes that I just mentioned that operates every day of the year, they work largely overnight and on weekends. Well, yeah, somebody's got to do it. I think it's wonderful. I'm sure they take rotating shifts. I find it interesting that these contributions that William and Catherine gave were initiated privately. They didn't, put out a press release going, look, we funded this personally. Personally, they funded it. But I find it interesting that they funded them privately, and then they waited to see how it would come out. And, it's just now coming out, 2 years later. Amazing. I love watching William at work, looking good. Yeah. He could have continued on as an air ambulance pilot for forever and a day, I think. Yeah. I hate that whole diatribe of good versus evil. I really do. But I literally think when it comes to William and his brother, that is what you're looking at. You know what I mean? I hate that, but it is what it is. All right, time to move on. All right, next up, New Zealand's Geographical Board is officially considering removing Andrew's name from the 74-kilometer Prince Andrew Plateau in Antarctica. It was named in 1962. And now that he's lost his titles and all of his legal troubles, they're evaluating what to do. The plateau itself is situated in the Ross Dependency within the Queen Elizabeth Range, an area of Antarctica claimed by New Zealand. And in another humiliation, apparently the gloves worn by Andrew when he flew a helicopter in the Falklands War, there was no interest and no bids this week when they went up for auction. But a letter written by Diana, Princess of Wales, sold for almost £6,000. Now, the pale leather gloves were expected to fetch between £1,000 and £2,000, but didn't meet their reserve price. And experts have said that Andrew is too hot to handle due to his connection with, Jeffrey Epstein. And the gloves were signed by Andrew, and they were donated to a charity right after the 1982 conflict. They had previously been held by a previous buyer for 44 years before putting them up in the auction. They were well worn and dirty from all of the flying operations, and he was at the height of his popularity when he signed those gloves. All right, let's move on to our Harry Meghan stuff. All right, before we move on, I just want to show you this ridiculous video Meghan just put up. She's not wearing her engagement ring again. I think that's part of her humility training, but then she should have taken off the $20,000 necklace and her 2-carat diamond pinky ring that she's wearing. This is another stupid low-budget thing done with an iPhone. If you go back, you can see the reflection of the legs of the people who's standing there filming it in the ice bucket. They're saying that Harry just wants to go home. As I've told you in my previous videos, after sitting there and attacking the family over and over and over and over, he can't go home. They don't trust him. They don't want him there. He can't go home. Not to mention, the family will never take Meghan back. So he's just got to realize that this is his life. This is consequences. I don't think he's ever faced them in his life, but here they are. Now, we know it's been a while since Harry and Meghan have collected any awards, so here's another pay to play. I never thought Time magazine could be bought, but apparently they can. They have named Harry on the Times 100 Sports list of the 100 most influential people in sports in the leaders category. And they've done this to honor his work in founding the Invictus Games. Well, there's a few issues with that. First of all, they put him in the same category with LeBron James, with Hillary Knight, with Messi. I mean, are you kidding me? This is such a joke. This is like the Aviators, award. But even worse, thanks to Molly's mama, it wasn't just Harry who set up the Invictus Games. It was Harry, William, and the Royal Foundation and the Department of Defense. Harry has long said, I did it. It's mine. But it wasn't him. It was the whole royal family. And the royal family put it together so Harry would have something to do in the royal family, so he would have a role. It was perfect for him. And when he left, he claimed it. And the family was like, let him have it. But I'm so sick of hearing how he's getting awards for something. Why isn't William on the list? William had just as much in setting this up as Harry did. Harry has tried to remove his family's involvement in this. And I wonder, he also said he stole the idea. So I wonder if the Warrior Games in the United States gets an award because that's where he got the idea. Remember this?
Warrior Games back in America last year. Well, when I was in Washington in 2012, I met a small contingent of the UK team that was representing ourselves. And hearing the stories that came back from the games really sort of ignited something inside me that made me want to basically broaden this to a wider audience, and therefore speaking to the relevant people from the Royal Foundation insisted that I try to get myself there for 2013, which, as you know, we made it. I saw firsthand the power of sport in inspiring recovery. supporting rehabilitation and demonstrating life beyond disability. A group of inspirational people proving that anything is possible. Why bring it to the UK? Well, it was such a great concept by the Americans that it had to be stolen. Quite simple as that, really. But I wanted to bring this.
I have to wonder, did Time magazine take into account that Megan is selling outfits she wore at different Invictus games on her one-off site, and none of the money is going to her husband's charity? Nothing. I mean, it really is kind of bad that she's making money. She gets a percentage from these outfits, and she's not giving any money of what she's making to Invictus, and yet the two of them are supposed to be so charitable. It would be right to give the money back to Invictus, since Invictus, in my opinion, helps pay for these outfits. So Harry is promoting it. They're paying for her to go, and they have all these popular events, and she's merchandising the clothing, and she needs the event to merchandise the clothing, and her husband is actively promoting Invictus, which is where she's properting. So people have to wonder what's going to happen at Invictus Birmingham, and of course she's going to go. She's not going to miss the chance to prance around in very expensive clothing, but I just find it disgusting that that's going on. You know, they're not charitable. They're really not. All the money they've ever been giving out is somebody else's money. And let's not forget about Scott Snow. We know that we've covered him multiple times over the past few years. Don't forget, he was a poster boy for Team Canada in Germany in 2023. And he was injured during his very first wheelchair rugby match when the chair he was using tipped backwards and it slammed him onto the court, injuring his head, neck, and spine. Now, only after being injured did he learn that while serving members of the CAF are fully insured against injuries sustained during the games, veterans on the team were not. And he is now demanding the government compensate him for treatment, pain, and suffering and loss of income. He has absolutely been left behind. He said, you know, I really thought once my story came out, somebody would come to help me, and nobody's come, and I feel like I've been left twice. Now, Veterans Affairs Canada told CBS that since this matter is in court, they cannot comment, but they suggest any veteran seeking assistance should contact the department for help. And National Defense told CBS News on Wednesday it's been in contact with this man's attorney and they're reviewing the claim. He was a high-profile Invictus team member whose journey to the games in Dusseldorf was the subject of a promotional video done by Invictus. You know, this guy fell backwards. We've seen the video. He slammed his head and back. He finished the game because he didn't realize he was hurt. But as soon as he got back to Canada, x-rays revealed that his spine needed fusing and he had the surgery. And while his arms have improved, the tinglings in his legs have not, and he later learned he had cracked the vertebra in his lower spine as well, which required another operation. So since he couldn't afford the modifications required to refit his house, he had to move into a retirement home while he underwent physical therapy. And he's been paying out of pocket for spinal therapy and eye therapy, and he's living in this assisted living away from his wife and children. That's horrible. This is so Harry, though. And again, with Invictus, we know that Harry's coming for the 1 year to go, but he really wants to bring Megan and the children this time around. And so he's making government-provided armed bodyguards a condition of bringing Megan and the children over this summer. I think what he's hoping is what the Queen did. You know, the Queen provided them a private jet and the Queen paid out of pocket for their security. And I think he's hoping that the royal family will pay for it. Now, Harry has not been back with his family since 2022, citing safety concerns after losing his police protection. Now, he didn't lose it. He just has to give a 30-day notice. If he wanted to come over with Megan and the children, he could have given a 30-day notice. But he stepped back from royal duties. We know that he sued. We know that he lost. We know he appealed. We know that he lost. And then he asked for another review. And nobody's heard a word since. Well, here's the buzz. Apparently, it's being reported by Neil Sean that he was denied. According to Neil Sean, he claims in his video that he actually saw the document that things are staying as they are, status quo, Harry has to give a 30-day notice. And no, you don't get private security or private, police protection. They have to have guns and access to intelligence and all this stuff, but you don't get it unless you need it. I find it shocking that he's still expecting the taxpayers of the UK, people that he doesn't represent anymore, people that he has slammed as racist, that they should be the ones paying for his security. But don't forget, in his brain, he thinks he's still a working royal. I mean, that just shows you he needs to get the hell off the drugs. It doesn't take a genius to realize that Harry has an ulterior motive in wanting to bring the children back. I think he's dangling them in front of the king. I think he's going, look, I'll bring them back. You can meet your grandchildren. Yes, we can do this, we can do that, as long as you pay for armed security. But they're not going to be able to stay on palace grounds either. I mean, I think he thinks they're going back to Frogmore. That's not happening. So I think this whole thing is just becoming such a joke. Meghan doesn't need to come for the 1 year to go event. She really doesn't. And she'll just take the attention away from Invictus again. So I don't understand what Harry thinks he's doing. Well, other than trying to get back in with the family. Harry has made such a song and dance about protection that he's going to lose face if he brings Meghan back to Britain with no change in their security status. However, Meghan had no problem visiting France last October for Paris Fashion Week, and they've been to places much more dangerous than England, like Colombia, Nigeria, and the Middle East. So we have two issues. Number one, the king wants to show his support for Invictus. He thinks it's a worthy cause, but he's not going to go there. And he hopes it is a big success, and he's aware that a lot of taxpayer money has been spent on it, and that is true. 26 million pounds in public funds has been allocated to support the Invictus Games. However, that doesn't mean Charles is going to go. And the second thing is that's being reported is that Harry will be given police protection for the visit, but that may only be for events connected to Invictus. Only at certain times, like when he came over last September, when he attended Wellchild Awards, the same thing. It'll be the same thing for Invictus. So a spokesman for Harry and Meghan said there's no change in the security situation as far as they know, and they're not commenting on any meetings that might take place. And of course, the palace isn't commenting. So again, he's not going to get it. There's been no change. They've just admitted it. So it's over. The UK is sick of Harry and Meghan, but frankly, so is the United States. When they got here in July of 2020, arms opened. People just welcomed them, but boy, has the tide turned. They got their deals right and left for Netflix and Spotify, for Archwell Audio. But after all of their missteps, the same organizations in the media that were once their cheerleaders are now changing their tunes. And now there's a new Channel 5 documentary called Harry and Meghan Has America Had Enough? And Richard Kay, the Daily Mail's editor-at-large, explained that there really was a lot of goodwill in 2021 because America likes people who are having another go. And that's what Harry was doing. He was having another go. He literally felt driven out of his home country. He's got an American wife, and America respected him, and, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, Netflix came calling, and, that's how it worked. However, what Harry and Meghan didn't count on is there is a great love and affection for the royal family here. And so this new documentary explains that another turning point in their perception was the release of the South Park episode, The Worldwide Privacy Tour, that ridiculed Meghan and Harry's demands for privacy while on a publicity blitz for the prince's, autobiography, Wah. We all remember that. So in America, this was probably the first time that the perception had been broadcast in that way. And that was a big sign that the tide was turning. And at the same time, their relationship with Spotify took a turn. We know that they were called effing grifters. They lost their deal. And, it was signed off and then it was pulled back because they couldn't deliver what they promised. So remember, their deal with Spotify is gone. Their deal with Netflix has been reduced to a one-look deal. And while we keep hearing about things in the pipeline, nothing else has come out. And frankly, everything they have put out has failed miserably. So yeah, maybe they are looking to move to another country. What do you guys think about Scott Snow and the fact that he basically has just been left behind? I'm just so shocked by that whole situation. Really, I don't even know what to say about it. It's terrible. But okay, you guys know what I want. Put those comments down, make them good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find a link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my father's book, which remains for sale on Amazon, a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.